Well, my story began when I was living and working in California, in San Francisco. In 1976, I applied during the fall. January 8th, 1976, I received a letter saying, regrettably, I must inform you that we are unable to act favorably, etc., and good luck. So in early January, I was talking with a friend, and we decided, let's have fun. So on January 17th, I sent a letter to the dean, whose name happens to be Dean Curry, saying to him, Dear Dean Curry, your rejection letter has been received and given careful consideration. Unfortunately, the number of qualified schools trying to reject me far exceeds the number I'm willing to not to attend. Therefore, I am sorry that I cannot accept your letter and will be attending Harvard in the fall. Thank you for your interest in rejecting me. You have my best wishes for success in finding another student to reject for the position which I intend to take. I look forward to seeing you in September. Well, as you can imagine, actually you can't imagine, because anybody else would have seen that and said, well, here's a flake from, But this particular dean, who back then I have deducted was very young, decided to have some fun. So on February 2nd, he said, Dear Mr. Dolan, your rejection letter of January 17th has been received and given careful consideration. Unfortunately, the number of not quite qualified applicants not accepting our rejection still exceeds the number of places in the class. Therefore, I am sorry that I cannot accept your letter indicating your intention to enroll in the fall. Thank you for your interest in rejecting our letter. You have my best wishes for finding another school to accept your rejection of their rejection. Sincerely yours, Dean Curry. So then, given the fact that I'm a stubborn Irishman, I thought about it, and a little later I gave the school a call and I said, what's the problem? And they said, you've been rejected. And I said, well, what do we do about that? And they said, well, the fact that you did not include a letter of recommendation from your employer did not help. And I said, if my current employer knew that I was leaving, so they said, well, what can we say? Good luck. So I talked to the boss, got a letter from my employer, who was Kaiser Steel in those days, which no longer exists. So in June, this is many months later, June of '76, I wrote back saying, during a phone conversation in March with a member of your staff, I was told that while all of my credentials were in order, the absence of a recommendation from Kaiser Steel was a major factor in the rejection of my application. You'll soon receive a letter of recommendation. I trust that the letter will encourage you and the admissions board to reconsider my application. If a personal interview would be profitable, I'm willing to fly to Boston at your convenience. So then there was absolute silence. And the summer came. I came to Boston, I think in August sometime. And third week of August, I called, made an appointment to see someone here whose name was Jim Foley. Now, I'll never forget that, because I was sitting outside his office. I saw him coming down the hallway, right out of central casting, a bow tie, glasses. He was looking over the glasses. He saw me. And he said, Dolan, in. So we sat down. He said, we're not going to let you in now. What do you want? So I said to myself, well, let's at least have a nice conversation. So we had a nice conversation, very, very, very fine, enjoyable. At the end, he said, well, I wish you the best of luck. And at that time, I had been accepted at Boston University, and I was all set. Well, a few days later, this must have been the final week of August, a few of us went out to Falmouth on Cape Cod for an excursion. My cousins have a cottage there on a little lake. And providentially, I just happened to walk into that cottage at a moment when the phone was ringing. It was my mother calling from Bethesda, Maryland. And she was rather hysterical. I said, what's the problem? She said, call Harvard. But I can't imitate how she said it. She says, call Harvard. So I called and talked to Mr. Foley, and he said, if next Monday you can show up here with a check for whatever it was, you're in. And so there was September 3rd, 1976. My pleasure to inform you, you've been admitted to the class of 78. So that's my little story.